We just started.
Yeah.
I hope you liked that whip that was supposed to be off camera. Welcome to Alex Reid, folks. And this guy has got moves, not just in the ring, but in the sack, apparently. We're going to get frisky, and bits that may have to be edited out. Alex is enmeshed in legal issues.
More importantly, forget the police, forget legalities. The biggest policeman I have in my life is my missus. She's the yes. Alexander, why did you say that?
Do you like it when she punishes you?
No, it's not the sort of punishment I like. You got a missus?
No comment.
That's a no then. Sorry, we digressed. Where were we? Carry on.
I was bigging you up about your fighting skills. I'm going to put in the link to the description box below this video, his fight with Tom Watson. It's got over 1 million views. I watched the first 2 rounds this morning when I was in a hot bath.
In a bath. Do you always watch men sweaty and wrestling each other in the bath? You do.
I'm getting flustered. We may have to open the door in a minute, James. Yeah, I watched your interview with James English. I watched your London reel. There was a moment when I thought you were going to put James English in a headlock. That was quite compelling viewing.
Yeah. I tell you what that was about, right? I did a TV show. It was Channel 4 News. I was talking about the Jeremy Kyle show. Someone just committed suicide. And I was on there because I went on the Jeremy Kyle show. Long story short.
How was that?
It was all right, actually. It was a really great interview. It was fantastic. But the only thing was, it's tarnished with the brush, the Jeremy Kyle show. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. It's long story short, I was saying, the news interviewer said, what do you think? Do you think it should finish or do you think it could carry on? I said, well, it has the ability, the Jeremy Kyle show, to do some really good work. If it reforms, if it's like, what's that lesbian lady in America? Oh, what's her name? And I said, Ellen. But my PR guy said, Alex, why did you say lesbian lady? Now we can't use that. I mean, today you could be too PC. I'm a geezer. I'm an ex-paratrooper. You say things that down the pub when the camera's not rolling, maybe that you wouldn't say if 100,000 people are watching, because you're always going to offend someone. But the thing is, you got to relax a bit. I mean, I meant no abuse by saying lesbian lady. Now, going back to James English, he was like mocking. I talked about eating meat. He said, "Oh, I know you do," and I laughed a little bit. But actually, later on, I said, "That's not cool." And we thought about taking it out. But I thought, do you know what? It's fine. You can be too PC. How have you found this when you're doing this, trying to be PC?
Oh man, it's
and
a
not
nightmare.
not upset people.
Nightmare. I mean, my channel started as a prison channel. Prison slang is not exactly PC.
No.
Recently, I interviewed Stephen French, and Stephen French, out of Toxteth, Liverpool, he used the N-word multiple times, so many times that even after we got in trouble for the first version and edited the N-words out, there were still N-words in it, and we had to take it down again and put it back up for a third time.
Yeah.
So that kind of like spoils like the momentum of what we're trying to do here.
It's frustrating. I was talking. I've got some notes today because I did the James English show, and
shout out to James. I'm going to put the link in to Alex's video with James in the description box, so check that out as well.
And it was really great. I've done lots of podcasts. I've heard really big things about you. That's why I'm here. But I didn't plan anything, and it was kind of a shot from the hip. But what I've realised is I did get a bit of stick, and I'm okay with that, because if you're not getting a bit of hate, you're not doing something right. But then I didn't get the points I wanted to get across, and I think I've got a platform. And when you've got a platform, you've also got a responsibility, which is you can't just do what you want. You've got to think about not upsetting people, and to reach more people. But you can't be too PC, because then you're down your truth of who you really are.
I'm completely desensitized because I've been through prison, so I've had to learn as well about certain lines must be drawn, and there are people who aren't as desensitized as us, and I don't want to offend those people.
You can use any word you want, and and you can call me a CUNT and I can say, oh, you CUNT. But if there's a way you say it, that's the way you say it. That's the same with the N word. If I say F you, it's the implication, the interpretation. But people get so, oh, you can't say that. Oh, shut up.
Yeah, so it's all about having a laugh, and some humour is offensive to some people, but it's like Joe Rogan says, there's got to be a medium to let this energy out, this tension out, and humour is that medium.
I think now the way the media is going, with more podcasts, with more people going online, they're not, it used to be, they say mainstream media like ITV, BBC, Sky, they're all sitting there all prim and proper daytime TV. I'm like, fuck off. They're not real. And people are faking what they really mean. And I know the bullshit and I know the lies. Oh, I know the lies. I know the lies. We'll talk about lies later.
And it's those people who are pretending to be the most righteous in society. People on TV, the fakers, the judges, some police. From my interviews with sex workers, I've learned that those people are the kinkiest people in society. They're up there on the pulpits preaching to the masses, suppressing the inner sexual urges. And that suppression causes a warpedness that leads to such a high frequency of paedophilia amongst the elites and all kinds of strange, I'm not knocking kinky behavior, but illegal behavior and paedophilia.
I was going to say, because kinkiness is fine. I mean, but it's perversion just is when that you're doing something against someone's will.
Yes.
Or, there's something that people aren't enjoying. That's not fun. That's not right. Be kinky as you want. And I guess though, is it very English? You've got to be prim and proper, and this is how you've got to be, and we must behave a certain way. Is that where these perversions come from, because they want to rebel against it? Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm saying that by getting on the pulpit and saying to people, like,
should behave like this.
Yes. They are suppressing their own inner sexual needs. I'm talking about like the extremists who say, no sex before marriage, all this kind of stuff. They're preaching that to other people.
Yeah.
Or people who just uphold the law all day. Judges. I'm told by sex workers that judges are some of the most regular clients, are some of the most kinkiest clients.
Totally believe that. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of psychologists having therapy and stuff, and I'm like, afterwards, and forensic psychologists for different things I can't go into, but I'm like, this person is giving an opinion, a legal opinion, to professionals and I'm like, this guy's not with it himself. He's got the most. He's not together. How can this person be trusted? I mean, I don't know his personal life, but you can get a sixth sense from someone's aura and how they are. Just from it's. I don't know how to explain it. It's extrasensory perception. If people don't know what I'm talking about, you probably can't comprehend what I'm saying. But you can almost see when you can just feel if someone's not right. And this person has got all these qualifications, and they're telling you how you should be. I'm like, well, let's shine a mirror on you. Oh, we're not here to discuss me. We're here to discuss you.
I did a lecture to psychotherapists and psychiatrists in London, and I talked to them all individually afterwards, and they were all as crazy as anybody, and they had become therapists and psychiatrists to heal themselves in the first place.
That's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I am too.
As long as they're not still fucked up and putting their fucked upness on you.
Yeah.
Because it's like a reformed smoker. You know what I mean? Don't smoke! It's bad for you. You know what I mean? It's like,
we're all fucked up. And I think it's a lifelong learning lesson to take time for introspection, analyze ourselves, and try and improve and just become less fucked up as we go along. We're all human. We're all going to make mistakes. We have emotional reactions to things. We get carried away, and we make those mistakes when we're not in that rational frame of mind.
As we look at mistakes, this is your book. Was this a mistake?
Mistakes that lead to SWAT teams.
Do you often wonder? I mean, I look at my life. You're 51.
Yep.
I'm a few years younger than you, 45, and you get around this sort of age, you start questioning what life's all about. Why are we here? All this pain and suffering, all of the mistakes. I've had money, I've lost money, lost money again. I'm sure you've had even more crazy experiences. And I mean, this looks quite like, is it a mistake or is it a lesson? How do you explain this? What's this all about?
So, I do a long talk.
in like a one sentence, if you could paraphrase what.
Okay, so lad from Widnes, Cheshire, grows up with no money, starts trading the stock market at 16, becomes a millionaire in his 20s, has no emotional maturity whatsoever. The rave scene in Manchester and Liverpool had such a big impact on him. He wants to transfer that scene over to the Sonoran Desert, over to Arizona. At the peak of it, he's throwing parties for up to 10,000 people. He's running an ecstasy trafficking ring, hired about 200 people to run that with him. And his competition is Sammy the Bull Gravano, underboss of the Gambino crime family, who's got a hit out on him.
So for those people who don't know, that's quite a serious dude.
Yeah.
Who's a scary dude.
Yeah.
With a lot of power.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I was getting protected by the New Mexican Mafia at operations in Mexico, so I had to be good with the guys in Mexico as well. And I mean, look at me, I'm just a business graduate.
That's what I was going to say. You come across very well-to-do, amenable, nice, pleasant. I've chatted to you before we've done this. This guy's a gangster?
No.
But I mean, I'm sure you
had gangsteritis.
Gangsteritis.
Yes, I'd watched too many movies like Scarface and Blow, and when you're a young person, high testosterone young person, you get gangsteritis. And I tell young people now, keep your day jobs, folks, because it leads into the prison, police, or death.
I have some experience, and I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend who was a gangster, was a tough guy, and now I was like listening to him yesterday. What happened to you? He's got 5 kids, and he's at home. He's going blind, unfortunately, and he's daddy daycare basically. And I said, what happened to the tough badass? He's gone. He's disappeared. This is what life's all about now, and it's surreal. Like, I hear what you mean, gangsteritis. As you're young, you've got a weird perception of how you should be, but we do eventually grow up. And now you're a Guildfordian. Is that a word? Guildford, we're in Guildford.
Next to Aldershot.
Good old Aldershot, yes. I love Guildford. I went to acting school here. So how long have you been in Guildford?
So I ended up in Guildford because one of my ecstasy suppliers out of LA, who got arrested a few years before me, he ended up getting in the federal prison system, deported back to London prison, then in a halfway house in Guildford. Fell in love with Guildford, as you do. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
My prison sentence was running later than his, so I ended up at my parents' house in the north. And then DJ Mike Hot Wheels, who's in Guildford, he said, just come and move in with me. Because, to get my career going.
DJ Hot Wheels.
DJ Mike Hot Wheels, yeah. He used to come out and play my raves and bring a few...
So this is after you're not a gangster anymore?
No, this was when, at the peak of what I was doing.
Oh, so you're here while
this
you
is
were...
all in my book Party Time.
Yeah.
Mike Hot Wheels would fly out from LA and gig at my raves and bring a lot of pills out as well. This was before I was going through Holland. I was going through LA before I started going through Holland.
Tell me, I know you're interviewing me, but I'm fascinated. This is how it should be, like. I mean, a proper chat, because I've got loads of people who want to... Having mixed with precarious individuals... What I know, I didn't envy them because, like, they're always doing this.
Yeah.
But that becomes not even, it's just like breathing. So they don't know any other way. And one thing I know about, I want to live a long life. That's one thing I do want to do. I think we live about 80 years on planet Earth. I'm over half of that now. I want to live the rest of them at least and healthy without doing this. And stress is one of the biggest killers, bar none. I don't just want to live. I want to thrive, right? So you must have been, because I've been, do I share this? I was somewhere once on a mountain, about to go into a room in the Caribbean, and the guy I was with, I said, "What's to stop these guys we're going to go and meet, these Caribbeans, have AK-47 shoot us and throw us over the side of the cliff?" And so I don't know. I'm out of my depth here. I don't know. I can't get involved in this stuff. What am I doing? I'm here too late. All this is going through your head. I'm like, what? I'm mixing with the wrong people. That was like holy. It wasn't brown, but it was close. I mean, surely there's times where you're thinking, do you get used to it?
So I was working the stock market for the first 5 years in America. Thought I was just going to have a normal life. Bring Wildman over, my best friend from childhood. And that opened some doors to some criminal organizations. I get a call one day. I'm working in the office in the stock market. I get a call from one day from a guy who's selling ecstasy for us called Fish. He says, "Can you grab Wildman and come over here? There's a situation." I said, "Yeah, what's the situation?" I'd rather not say on the phone. All right, I'll go and grab Wildman. Go to Wildman's place. He's out collecting debts for some Colombian crack lord, so I can't get him. So I drive over to this apartment in Tempe, Arizona. It's about a 30-minute drive. Fish answers the door of his missus. His missus is in tears. I think she's been assaulted and they want Wildman to do something about it. So what's the matter? They're like so terrified they can't say anything. I hear an electrical crackling sound coming from another room. And they look at me and they say, "You best just go and look yourself." So I walk down the hall into the room, open the door, and there's a naked, hog-tied man with a rockabilly quiff on the floor. And all of these Mexicans are stood around him. And there's a guy that I've been introduced to through Wildman from the New Mexican Mafia who's got an older guy with this stately, swept-back grey hair, stood over the Mexicans, giving them commands in Spanish, and they're pulling these cattle prods out and electrocuting this guy. And every time they electrocute him, piss just squirts out of his dick onto the floor. Now, I've never seen anything at this level before in my life. I say to Fish, "What's happened?" Fish says, "Look."
Is he unconscious?
No, he's conscious.
He's screaming.
Yeah. Well, he's all tied up and stuff. Fish says he came and bought drugs, waited for me to leave the house, came back to the house, robbed my drugs, robbed your drugs, robbed their drugs. I called you. I called them, and they got here first. So basically, they held him. They told his roommates 10 grand, 24 hours, or we're taking him out to the desert, and the money was paid. But I'm in a situation where I'm working the stock market. I'm seeing this, and I'm thinking, all right, what do I do? Do I look shocked, and these guys think I'm a liability, or do I somehow try and play along, even though I'm shitting myself? So I look at the head guy with the grey hair, and he's smiling at me like, "Welcome to the family." And I say, "Look, I couldn't get Wildman. I've just run over here from the office. I've got to get back to work. Looks like you guys have got this situation under control." And I left the place thinking, all right, I'm okay with these guys, but I was worried because it could have gone either way. But yeah, I mean
Kill you or kill them? Kill him.
If they think I'm leaving and I'm going to tell someone,
yeah.
If I'd have indicated I was scared,
yeah,
they could have saw that as weakness.
I see. Yeah.
And then, right, we need to keep him here as well.
Yeah.
So that should have been my fucking wake up call.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I was on drugs. I was on crystal meth. I was on ecstasy, GHB, or Mexican pharmaceuticals. They'd scrambled my decision-making processes to the point where I was just thinking I'm living like a character out of a movie. I didn't see. I was blind to the danger of it. For that moment, I was shitting it, but I still couldn't get out of the lifestyle. I got more and more deep into it, and that was just one situation out of several.
I've seen that. I mean, we've seen the film Scarface, the first scene before he's his mate. He's handcuffed to the bath above the shower, and he's going to get chainsawed, and his mate's chatting up a girl. Oh shit! I better run upstairs, and he shoots him. But yeah, it just the reality of having. Just careful what I say. So, having experienced some things like that. It's
allegedly experienced some things like that.
Yes.
So I tell young people now,
not the way to be.
If you've got that energy, like aggressive energy, like Wildman, or energy where you think you need this excitement, adrenaline junkie, channel it into positive addictions like MMA.
MMA, baby.
What got you into that?
I was a bully kid. I grew up not far down the road, 10 miles down the road in Aldershot. I I love Aldershot. Youngest of 6. Mum and Dad had made all the mistakes, and so I was quite lucky. They'd become like hippies at that point, and very relaxed, full of culture, love, and I was bullied at school because I was so creative, and I didn't conform to the social stereotypes. I'd ask questions if it felt like a question to ask, and I'd get bullied. So still, but being strong, even though I didn't like being bullied, I turned to martial arts, Bruce Lee and Van Damme, all those sort of films.
It was watching them that got piqued your interest.
Yeah, I mean, I was into, I think I've said this many times, on Star Wars, and that's quite religious stuff, actually. What a great childhood to have someone like Jedi to look up to. And He-Man, funnily enough, I mean, he was a little bit camp, mind you, in his Ugg boots, his furry pants, and his bondage outfit, going around slaying people with his mighty sword. He's clearly on juice as well.
I was obsessed with like the Fantastic Four from childhood and Marvel
Who's your
comics
favourite
and
one?
stuff like that. Thing.
Yeah.
Thing.
My favourite ones are Thor, Hulk, and Iron Man.
Yeah.
I like Iron Man because he's just a man. That's why I like Batman as well. If I was going to, I go on to why I like those guys. They want to make the world a better place. So I wanted to be a tough guy. I wanted to stop all the bullies. So for me, fighting MMA wasn't so much about being a tough guy. It was about getting justice for people, to protect. For evil to exist, a good man does nothing. And I'll come back to that theme a lot. But
so you joined the dojo?
I joined several dojos. Yeah.
At what age?
15. I was into I had lots of playground school fights, and I was getting, as I was a late developer, puberty, and some of the kids have got a more natural advantage because they've got more testosterone. I was like, I needed an advantage. Kung Fu to the rescue. Have you ever done Kung Fu?
No.
Any martial arts?
Karate.
Oh, karate.
Yeah.
What belt?
Just got almost to black. Did all the training for it, but because my work took over, I never got to do it. Yeah.
It's 51. Did you do workout now?
Yeah, I do work out now. Yeah, I try and do as much fitness as I can.
Are you addicted?
Yeah, that is definitely my addiction now, is fitness classes.
So I asked
just workouts.
you, just before we come on, about drugs. And when was the last time you did drugs?
May 16, 2002, the SWAT team came and ended my drug career, trafficking and participation.
How long did it take for you to, because you're in prison with a lot of hardcore heroin.
90% were injecting heroin and crystal meth. 2/3 had hepatitis C from sharing dirty needles.
And that's how, and back then, that's...
Living with people with addiction issues showed me the horror of what drug use leads to, because that road is very long and the pleasure's high in the beginning, the pain is low, but they cross over time.
Yeah.
If you're addicted, yellow jaundice, skin, teeth rotting out, you can't stop. And they knew they were dying. Eat your liver up, hep C, but all the day Rivolderan was getting high, and they knew it was slow suicide, and they couldn't stop, so it was sad. And people say, heroin addicts, they live under bridges, they're shoplifters, lock them up, throw away the key. I heard those stories. They were abused as kids. They were raped as kids. They'd seen their parents die. They were thrown away onto the streets. They were pimped out by care homes. And no one had given them the tools to deal with that psychological trauma. So they were on heroin to block that pain out.
1,000,000%.
And then we compound the pain by throwing them into prison. But it's a huge industry.
They need
get
more
$50,000 a year of taxpayers' money to prisons per person.
There's so much corruption in the whole system. And the propaganda of how what we're conditioned to how to think and believe, like they're not prim and proper. We must throw away the key. It just makes me angry. They need more love. I say legalize every single drug.
We are for on this channel. We are for. This is our slogan: end the war on drugs and start the war on paedophiles. Because we are seeing all these resources that the police are shaking down people for low-level drug use, and the police are telling us they can't go after the paedophiles. They don't have the resources. It's sickening. And the paedophiles are well-heeled. These priests, they bring in these fancy lawyers. They've got hundreds of victims, and they get slaps on the wrist, and it's disgusting.
I wasn't going to go here because we could spend days on this subject, but it's something I'm very passionate about. That's why I was into Batman or Edward Woodward, The Equalizer. We need. I'm not assigned to people to go out and be vigilantes, but in my fantasy world, I wanted to be a vigilante to cure the streets of this evil. But it's not on the streets; it's at the highest level in the whole of society.
You're fine.
Got a bit excited.
Stay excited.
Yeah.
We do a lot on this case about Epstein, about elite deviants, and there's really an army of people subscribing to this channel that watch that stuff, and they're trying to get changes made in the world.
Do you think we are allowed to say a certain amount of things just because we will get the David Icke brush? We become ridiculed as conspiracy theorists and mocked.
So when David Icke was deplatformed, one of the people behind that, they filed this report and they had a list of David Icke collaborators, and they said you can't just deplatform David Icke, you got to get rid of his collaborators, and I was number 2 on the list. So I've already got that brush on me.
So would this go out on? Is there certain things we can and can't say on here?
Yeah, it's probably not a good thing to discuss, because I did discuss it in the aftermath of that, and I got warned by YouTube, and I had to get a video multiple videos had to be taken down.
So I understand, as corrupt as this world is, unfortunately, might makes right, and they've got power.
Nietzsche.
They've got power to deplatform us and to not let us have our message. So until enough people have got critical mass. Do you know the 100 monkey syndrome? When enough people get it, everybody gets it. The experiment was done in monkeys in the South Pacific many years ago. On one island, they discovered that one monkey washed its bananas in water and it tasted better. So all the other monkeys started copying it. 100 miles away, and an island at the exact same time, the monkeys started doing the same thing. So what they're saying is these monkeys have, when enough of them get it, everybody gets it. And that's the same thing. We're a little bit more evolved, we like to think, or are we? The monkeys. So I think we just got to do the best we can at the time being until everybody gets critical mass. So we have to play by the rules. Don't want to play by the rules.
I am playing by YouTube's rules. I've got a swarm of trolls trying to take me down right now, and we've managed to get.
What are your trolls? Because this is something I want to talk about big time. Tell me what trolls you get. You're some sort of deviant, pervert, weirdo, druggie,
everything,
gangster, badass,
everything. You name it, the trolls are going after me for it without any proof of any of it, but just saying I am all of those things.
So let's rewind. Okay, so you come out of prison, and hallelujah, do you see the light?
Yeah.
And now we're here, and you're doing podcasts. Why are you doing podcasts?
Okay, so when I get out of prison, I'm back at my parents' house on the dole. My goal is to get my life story out as a book. And I had a blog, right? And my blog started when I was in the jail. My aunt smuggled my writing out of max security. She smuggled it out of the visitation room. It got put on the internet as a blog, John's Jail Journal. So my goal was to turn that writing, my story, into a book, which I did manage to do with the help of amazing people who came into my life when I just, nobody wanted anything to do with me. And so as my platform built, I felt it was my responsibility to help other prisoners who just got out and get their stories out there. And guys who've been on, my first podcast guest, he got a book deal through what we did. Other guests, I've had people sponsor them financially. One guy was able to move to London and start up his own YouTube studio. So I do yoga, karma, and I've been trying to balance the books for the Harm I Cause Society. Now,
balance the books?
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I saw the harm that drugs cause society, and I traffic drugs, and I put a lot of people on that road of drug use. So I'm trying to do some good now to balance that out. But I've also got this mission to help not just prisoners now. I've also started to help victims of abuse And that has become a real central theme on the channel. I've interviewed people like Maria Farmer, who was a victim of Epstein, Annika Lucas, who was pimped out as a kid to elite when she was like 4 or 6 years old. And it's great to see the overwhelming support that comes in from the subscribers and how it helps bolster the well-being.
So the trolls you get, do they subscribe? Do you get trolls that subscribe, go out their way to give you shit?
Yes, they form new accounts every single day because we block them.
Right. So why do they, if they really don't like you, why do they follow you?
They're obsessed with what we're doing.
I know a lot about this.
There's various reasons that they're trolls that I've come to a conclusion of, and I've contemplated your trolls as well, and why you have trolls. And I think that from the Escobar quote, envy kills more people in Colombia than cancer, I think people are envious of you, and I think a lot of your trolls want to have sex with you, know that they can't, and then just put these ridiculous things online.
It's good for the ego. You said a lot of things there I'm contemplating. So I know crime, and I don't ever want to sensationalize or make crime look great. But crime is a big industry. I mean, in terms of the media, films, books, women, all of the girls I've ever been with all seem to like crime novels or crime. It's a big subject of major money. James English, and I said to him, I didn't do any research when I went on his podcast. I've done a bit of research, and I thought maybe I should have done. And he's got a lot of gangsters. I'm not a gangster. I've mixed in those circles. I was really surprised that you had me on there but really great podcast. I understand why he's done that, because it's going to garner interest and a bit of controversy. But do you want to, and also you want to paint people much like I love the film The Joker. The reason why I like it is because you see
the new one,
the villain, as actually see why actually you can start to feel sorry for him and empathy. So not everybody, and listen, heaven forbid, I'm not an Adolf Hitler fan or anything, but he must have his. We've gone, that's really heavy. My missus is Jewish, so, and her auntie was a Holocaust survivor, but there is evil, and there is pure evil, and he probably is pure evil. But if sure you could find something in him where that isn't evil, there might be one little factor of him, and that's interesting.
Well, if you're quoting Nietzsche, then beyond good and evil isn't the good and evil in everybody.
Yeah.
Didn't he take care of his dog? You could say that was a good trait. He's not pure evil. This is probably going to get us in trouble with YouTube talking about this. Let's change the subject.
Yeah.
Trolls.
Well, trolls. Listen, I mean, I find what he's done absolutely disgusting, but I try and understand. How could someone do such horrific things to anybody? I can't contemplate. And so it's interesting why you have criminals on, or ex-cons, because everybody's got a story. Listen, if someone was to rape and do something horrible to my family or to my child, I want to go crazy on them.
And that is the criminal code in Arizona. When you go in, they ask you to show them your charges, and if you are a paedophile, if you've got crimes against women or a child, it's KOS, it's kill on sight for those guys. And I've learned through these podcasts that a lot of prisoners were abused as kids, and they understand, why they want to get that revenge.
Why do human beings want to do such horrible things to each other?
Human nature, because it doesn't matter. People say it's politics, it's race, it's religion, it's the Gambinos versus the Bonanos. If you go throughout history, humans have always formed groups that go to war and brutalize other groups. And all of the laws they uphold within their own group, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, they reverse and do the exact opposite with other groups.
Yeah, because they want to preserve their way of life.
Tribalism?
Yeah. Might makes right. We're right, you're wrong. My God's better than your God because he's got a pointy hat and a better beard.
Do you read Nietzsche?
I don't.
You've done about 3 or 4 Nietzsche quotes so far. He's my
really?
favourite philosopher.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe I should.
You should.
I do read a lot of different things.
I'm going to get you my
please.
favourite book by him. Yeah. Good one to do in a hot bathtub.
When you're not watching Alex Reid get sweaty and rolling around on the floor with men.
Just don't get too excited and splash the pages.
Yeah. Good old Nietzsche. So what you
Trolls are a sign of success. And if you're over the target, they're going to try and take you down. And we've all done crazy things in our lives that have allowed the trolls some sphere of, material to focus on.
Let's talk about trolls. Let's talk about trolls. So, I've just recently approached by a lady asking for advice who's been horrifically trolled and bullied and having death threats because she posted an Instagram picture. How did your mum get up on that haystack? What am I talking about? I'm talking about Katie Price's mother, Amy Price, on top of a haystack. She totally regrets it because she's had death threats and utter trolling. My ex-wife, a lady called Katie Price, started a campaign called Harvey's Law to stop trolling. Isn't this utter hypocrisy? That what Katie did, she posted. The reason I'll tell you why I'm talking about this so much in a second. It's all about trolling. It was a national news headline. Katie Price confronts vicious troll, and the lady said, "Look, all I asked was how did her mum get up there? She's apparently suffering from fibrosis of the lungs, which incidentally my mum has. My mum's in her home. My mum can't even stand up. She's got fibrosis this bad. She's also got Alzheimer's, so she's in a bad way. And this lady, her father, she's a full-time carer for her father, and she's trying to. She's just asked a question. Your mum said she's on stage 3 of ready to go, sort of like 4 or 5 years ago, but she's up on a haystack. Now, isn't that complete and utter hypocrisy? If someone's posted that and it's hit national headlines, and then someone who's trying to stop trolling is created trolling and having this pure lady get the most extreme abuse, and I'm saying, look, it's absolutely hypocrisy and horrendous. I get viciously trolled all the time. I just did the James English podcast, and I called Katie, in my opinion, I said I think she's a sociopath. I actually think she's got something called HBD, which is histrionic personality disorder. I'm not a psychologist, but that would explain her highly sexualized, manipulative.
What does that mean?
Egocentric nature.
Histrionic personality disorder.
It means extremely manipulative, highly sexual, wants to be egocentric, at the centre of attention, and it explains. And I looked at all the different cases around it, and I'm like, how you manipulate people around you. Let's look at how I met her. I was a bully kid, searching for acceptance. All I wanted was love, ultimately. Become a tough guy, roll on 300 plus fights, joining the paras, mixing with tough gangsters. All I really wanted was love. So the bully little schoolboy meets Katie Price, and what I thought I had was acceptance. I thought, this is great. I've got some quirkiness. Cross-dressing cage fighter, 2 dynamic opposites. That hit the press, and it was like, cross-dressing, come on, I've done that a few times. It's not exactly, it became the only thing that I was famous for. Oh, and I'd had a few fights.
I think people criticising you for cross-dressing inwardly desire to do it, but just don't have the balls.
Well, I don't cross-dress, I'm happy dressed. You know? That's not even me, really. I mean, that's what I don't understand.
Try everything once, God damn it! Haven't you watched the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Try it more than once. It doesn't define you. It's a bit like when I called that like Ellen the lesbian lady. And I understand why my publicist said we couldn't use it, because I'm defining someone as one specific thing, and that's not fair. That's the only reason why I was upset with James when he laughed about eating meat and stuff, because on his podcast I said, that's not cool. It was fine. He said, I'll take it out. I said, no, don't worry about it. But
at the end of this podcast, can you display the headlock on me that you were going to put on James?
So I've discovered what your kink is now. I won't do it at the end.
Just don't go in excess on me.
So ultimately, I'm looking at somebody in Katie to accept me. But she didn't accept me. All she was doing was feeding me to her media walls for her own manipulation.
How old were you when you got to go with her?
10 years ago. 10 years ago, so 35. So the person I looked to, who I thought was my soulmate, just wanted to they didn't want to destroy me, just used me. Listen,
what was your emotional?
I hands up, I went for it and I did it myself. I went willingly, but I didn't. I was naive. I didn't know what was what.
Were you emotionally immature at that point? Still,
1,000,000,000%.
And were you like, like a bit starstruck?
Who wouldn't be? I mean, I was everywhere, and I didn't know nobody. Although I've done before, I got my first big TV show a week before I met Kate. I'd done soaps, I'd done films, and a bit of modelling. I'd already had 300 fights around the world at that point. So I had some mediocrity celebrity, but I wasn't. All of a sudden, I was catapulted right into the mainstream of it all, and it's so continuously in your face. You lose a sense of yourself.
Does it become addictive at first? For example, walking into a nightclub with her, and there's like a lot of attention to you, and everyone's kissing your asses. The red carpet's rolled out.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that soon wears off, mind you. But
How long does it take to wear off?
For me, it was like about 6 months. Let's look at it.
Does it become freakish that everyone's looking at you?
Ridiculously freakish. Then it becomes, and then all of your people, your friends, they change
because they think you're the big shot now, and they're envious, or
you start being like, this is weird. You're not yourself. It's that everyone's acting like different, and then of course everyone's acting different to you. How can you not change? How can you not change?
So did you have to struggle to maintain that with your friends from childhood?
There was a few, and they're still in my life, but some.
Did you lose some then along the way?
Lots. Listen, who was at my wedding? Who did I speak to who was at my wedding with her? I don't know. I said, I don't know. Don't speak to any of them. One or two. Literally. I'm like, that's sad. I mean, all these people, like, it's fair weather friends. Sad. It's very sad.
So your friends from childhood, though, you've still got some tight ones?
No. I was unlucky there. You drift apart, don't you? But maybe that's my own doing. Have you still got childhood friends?
Yeah, I mean, like Wildman and his cousin Hammy are my best friends from childhood. Wildman has been in my life a lot because he came to America. He was deported 3 times, but I kept bringing him back. Hammy was in my life less, but when I'm around them, it's just like we go right back to where we were when we were kids. And there's just this loyalty and honesty that nothing could ever break it.
Yeah.
And it's good to have, people you can talk to like that understand your whole life trajectory.
Yeah. So they're your therapists. That's very lucky. And you actually, you got brothers and sisters?
I'm more of a listener with them.
Right.
It's just being around them is therapy, I guess.
Really?
I've got a sister, yeah.
Are you close with her?
Yeah.
That's good. Is she older, younger?
So my sister's younger, and she's a journalist.
What for? Who for?
She's probably not going to like me divulging too much information.
Which, what sort of media?
Yeah, she's been at the top of media.
Are we talking like The Guardian, Telegraph, The Sun?
She's been in the main newspapers, her stuff.
Okay. So she's a powerful ally.
She's what?
A powerful ally.
Yes. I see where you're going.
Yes. So basically, I got fed to the wolves Bye, Kate.
Could you expand on that then, how she did that?
Well, I thought I was accepted. I mean, she split up with me when she went. I was one of the best ways to be split up with on air. She split up with me, and I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. And then I'll go and win Big Brother, the highest vote ever in the history of Big Brother, with nearly 20 million votes, 69%. And we got married 2 days later. So, I mean, the period of Jungle to Big Brother was a period of 2 months. So she split up with me live on air. I come out of Big Brother, and then she marries me 2 days later. It kind of explains it, doesn't it?
So she creates drama just to increase her.
But listen,
celebrity.
I went along with it. Yeah, listen, look at the. She suffers from supposed PTSD. I say supposed. I don't know. I'm not a therapist, and I've not seen
childhood abuse. Or?
I don't know. I don't know. Okay. But my point is, it's to cover the cocaine use as an excuse and sympathy. I mean, really, she took cocaine as a drug to help with the PTSD, and I'm not judging that. My point is, it's the sympathy act, a bit like using the mum up on a haystack and a troll viciously bullying her to garner sympathy again. Because her mum looks fine on the haystack. I mean, it's a question I would ask. How did her mum get up on a haystack when my mum, who suffers from the same condition, can't even get out of bed? And this poor lady's being completely viciously trolled. The reason why I'm talking about all of these lies is because I'm in court with Kate next month. I doubt she'll turn up. And Kate, I will say, lied in court in front of judges, and I'm sick of it. How is she getting away with all of these lies? She's lied about only owning a Beetle when she's got a Jeep. She just then later on says she's selling her Jeep and auctioning it off for the NHS. Well, she said on a Matt Hancock YouTube interview that she pays all her taxes. But she owes £900,000 to HMRC. That's not including everybody else's fees. So I'm sure the Jeep isn't going to touch the sides, but you can't be auctioning off a Jeep. How could you be flying off first class to all these different places to have surgery and everything? To me, it's like it's just lies after lies. Jewellery was stolen in South Africa, but there was no police report, no crime report, no insurance. Hang on, and incidentally, the reason why I'm even owed money is because in 2017, she showed an audience of 40 on Big Brother's Built on the Side sexually intimate images of myself, again taken without my consent or will, and I had 4 witnesses come forward, and she was found guilty by a High Court judge, and I have an injunction against her. And when I was on the James English podcast recently, that ended up being in the paper, and they gratuitously, the press bullied me and trolled me, and I got trolling by saying, Alex Reid calls Katie Price a sociopath, but the reason why he was on the James English show was because he was talking about Kate. I wasn't talking about Kate. I mean, to mention her, but what they said was they went into gratuitous, intimate sexual detail about things that happened many, many years ago. That to me is, I'm not ashamed of what I've done. I'm embarrassed. If listen, we can talk here, me and you now, about sex and stuff. It's fine, but we're not going to do it with the camera on. Well, we might do, but not into extreme and mention names and what we did. And imagine that continually for someone who promotes anti-bullying. That is the why I'm so frustrated. And I've got a whole list of lies here.
Let me just give a disclaimer before you proceed.
But I don't want to talk about her anymore.
Because there's a legal situation with you then, I just want to say to Katie that Alex is telling his side of the story. You've got your side of the story. If you wanted to come on the podcast and tell your side of the story, I would be perfectly happy to hear that. I doubt that you will come on, but the offer is there, and there are always multiple sides to any story. So,
mine is all evidentially backed up. with evidence.
I'm just being neutral.
Of course, I understand. Yeah, so what it is, the reason why I'm perturbed and I'm going on, I never want to talk about her again, but I will be talking about her until this court case is over. I want to completely exercise this out of my life for good, because there's so many atrocities being committed by her and continually being committed, and it's hurting me, my family, and then it's been thrown in my face by the lack of the law. CPS, Criminal Prosecution Service, didn't take her phones with these images which were taken 10 years ago, but she's continually showed them. I got trolled a couple of months ago by someone I suspect actually is part of Katie's team, saying that wouldn't it be a shame if someone as Katie's staff leaked the images of Alex? That would destroy him.
Did she take the images on the sly?
1,000,000,000%. She says she took them consensually. Man, I was drunk as a skunk.
So she's that Machiavellian that she just did that from the get-go to have
never
information on you.
She shared them in front of my lawyer and barrister outside a court case once, which I can't go into again. But I can't believe you took this. Yeah, and that's what you get if you cross with me. I'm like, you just did that in front of my lawyers.
Isn't there laws against just taking images of people?
There wasn't then. It was just before the revenge porn law. But this is the thing, right? I'm being threatened now. This is why I'm angry, because I don't feel protected. This is why there are revenge porn laws. They came in 2015, I believe. But I'm still being threatened, and CPS aren't doing anything. Now, these images 1,000,000% exist, because if she's had, since 2010 when the images were taken, how many phones must she have had? When we were just in a recent court case, she turned up, she was on her bed, we had 2 phones. So she had 2 phones, she had a video link from the court hearing. And she had all her staff around her. My point is, she's got 2 phones now. How many phones has she had? They're going to be in the cloud. So a reason why I'm going on about it, because I feel scared. Generally, I'm scared. It's like, listen, I'll live if these happen, even though I felt suicidal, and I've had lots of therapy for suicide over these horrendous images trying to destroy me and the threat hanging over my whole life. But it needs to stop, and CPS need to do something. Anyway, that's the Katie Price shit out of the way.
Do you think then, on the whole, that your relationship with Katie Price was not worth it?
This is why I asked you this question. What's this all about? Because I look at the same...
lessons learned.
Yeah, different lessons. But I'm like, why? Where did I go? Getting spiritual, did I choose all this in my higher self? I'm going to get a little bit hippie for a second.
Please do.
Yeah. How much DMT have you done?
None that I know of, but I
dimethyltryptamine.
It's a lot of
a chemical we produce naturally in our pineal gland. There's certain substances you can take which will give you a more illicit effect. You can actually connect to it naturally, for those who don't know. But if you've not ever done a DMT trip,
I think I'm more empathogenic from taking ecstasy for so long.
That has changed your personality, I imagine.
Yeah. So we need to focus on
connection. So do you?
I'm feeling it.
Do you seal it? Do you see or feel anything?
Like what?
You tell me. I'm
from you now.
No, in general.
I can feel something from you now. I can feel your suffering, and I can feel how, in the face of all of your good qualities, you're letting the suffering hold you back, and you have so much to offer for the world. And you said you've been to the brink of suicide. I was at the brink of suicide, and I know what that feels like. You said what your mum's going through. You said that with a very straight face, but I know that if my mum was going through that right now, I'd be fucking sobbing my eyes out. So I see somewhat what you're feeling in your heart, Alex. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
But would you like that always? Some people just have a natural affinity.
No.
Do you think that's
I don't think I was.
the drug taking or life experience?
I think I was sensitive, but I think I've become more sensitive through taking ecstasy. I'm not saying that as an advertisement for it. I don't want kids to be doing drugs, but just doing it constantly and just you just speak to each other and you connect and you feel all of the emotions the other person's feeling. They're using it to heal PTSD right now in America with the troops.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And LSD.
Yeah.
I see that. It's a medicine if you know how to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm big on my Tai Chi. I did Qi Kung this morning.
Yeah, I did yoga.
Qi Kung, you know what Qi Kung is? It's like Tai Chi.
My mum's got the sword.
Oh, the brush. Oh, no.
For Tai Chi.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, your mum's a Tai Chi.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
But there's certain things I'm not going to go into too heavy because people won't comprehend it or understand it. You have to do it to experience it. There's certain things, unless you've been there, you start to open up more sensory perceptions, and you, like I said, you can go into them, you can just feel things before they happen.
I think the work you've done is the long road and the drugs is the shortcut.
1,000,000%. Yeah, and I've tried the drugs, and now I want to live a long, healthy life. And listen, like I've said this many times, if I'm not anti-drugs, if it's a medicine, if there's a purpose, if I just bang my knee, give me an anti-inflammatory, you know.
So let's go back to the highlights of your MMA. What are those in your head?
There's 4 fights. I've had about 50 MMA fights.
And 300 fights total, was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Minimum. I lost count. I go to events and I said, we fought. Oh, did we? Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, how you doing? Yeah. Okay. That was my drug. And I almost had a DMT experience once when I won a European title. I came out of my body. I was floating above the ring, looking down. I was doing a lot of hard Qigong then. And I stopped doing hard Qigong and started taking steroids.
What had led to you coming out of your body?
I was doing hard Qigong.
Yeah.
For about 6 months, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours. I was like a monk, proper like. This is what I'm saying. You can become, when you can start to almost astral travel. And that was scary. It was kind of weird. I was like, this is weird. Out of my body, looking down at my body, fighting. I felt great, but and then I decided this was too much hard work. So that's when I started experimenting with drugs myself. I was only 18, and I thought, okay, I've done all that stuff, and let's try the fast route. MMA, basically bullied kid, done all lots of different martial arts. And
what was it like then as a bullied kid? Were you used to getting hit because you were bullied, and then you start the dojo and get hit? Are you already used to it, or does it take some getting used to?
Yeah, it takes getting used to. I wanted to be. For me, I wasn't me. I was somebody else. Multiple personality. I did become a different person. When I put my cape on, I'm Batman. I'm Edward Woodward. I keep going. I want to go and be this superhero who can save the day. And you've got a mission. And I'm scared shitless of everything. But when I put this cloak on, and just loved it for ages. It was like being a performer, and I'm an actor.
Yeah,
I'm an entertainer, and it wasn't a real fight. Although I could actually die, it's unlikely. And I ended up in hospital many times, and I had all sorts of things smashed, broken.
Worst injuries?
I think the worst one. I think it's. Oh, I split my shin open. It was voted, you can check this out, one of the top worst cuts in the history of MMA, of the world. It's like I had a vagina on my shin.
Ooh.
I fought Murilo Ninja Rua. It was a pride fight. He came over from Brazil in a cage rage, and I was beating him. And I kicked him, I lifted him off the ground, and stop, everyone run in. What? Don't look down. What's the first thing you're going to do? And I saw it. It was like this, that big. White, you see the shin, and then it started spurting.
Oh!
And then they said, "Oh, we think you hit an artery." I ain't got an artery, but they tourniqueted my leg and lifted me upside down and carried me out. And do you know what I was singing on the way to the where did we fight? That was where did they have the Ideal Home exhibition? In London. Oh God, Earls Court. I was saying he's going home in a London ambulance. He's going, and I went home in a London ambulance. I'll get this. I remember being on the couch, right, and it stopped spurting, right, and I'm sitting there, and it didn't really hurt because I'm still sort of like freaky, you know. You don't need any drugs when you've on that sort of level of pain. And doctor come in, and he went, and pressed it, and I went, what the fuck? It started spurting. And why'd you do that? Oh, idiot! That was pretty horrible. I've done everything. I've ripped, torn. I had a fight with a guy called Lee Murray, who's quite famous. He's in a prison now in Morocco. He I got more hurt. We fought in a cage fight, but then I got more hurt with him about a year later when we had a rematch in the gym, and he hit me in the orbital, cracked my eye, broke my eye, and my eye popped out, and I had to sort of hold it in. And I drove to the hospital like this, I taped it, and I had to drive like this.
Jesus
Stupid.
Christ.
And I shouldn't have driven.
That's dangerous because the fluid caught in the brain there's something that can happen there.
They kept me in for 2 days. When I fought Tom Watson was a big fight, which you were just watching.
Yeah, I urge people to go down watch this Tom Watson fight.
He broke
compelling.
the other orbital.
In that fight?
No, so I had both orbitals broken, yeah. And the eye popped out again.
I liked it where you did that reverse spin move and just lashed out like that.
Yeah, spinning back fist.
That's it, yeah.
It's funny, we were going to have a fight in September. It's September 8th. Is it September? Yeah.
Are you still fighting then?
No. I'm battered, but for the right money. Saying that, there is actually a couple of fights. I mean, my body is smashed to pieces. I've actually got a disabled badge.
No shit.
Because people joke, but I mean I've got agony.
Yeah.
Sitting here, I've got agony now in my sciatic going down my left hip.
So is the yoga and the Tai Chi helping that?
1,000,000%. That's why I do it. I mean, I plan on getting fitter and healthier.
Cool.
But I need to be fit because I don't want a decrepit old individual. You know, it's a action.
Well, when I felt you up earlier, you seemed quite fit.
You felt me up
in the back muscles.
What's wrong with you? Yeah, I have to say, come here. This is what you did. You did this hug, and it was like this. I was like, what are you doing? What's this? This is the greeting. The Shaun Attwood greeting. This is how he greets you guys.
we can get closer at the end.
Yeah. So you did you party? Do you party? Because you don't drink.
What's your definition of party?
Well, party used to be sex, drugs and rock and roll. You don't do the drugs.
Love the music.
Do you do the rock and roll?
Love the sex.
But no drugs.
Don't do the substances.
What do? You've got any vice? Not dark chocolate?
My therapist said there's nothing wrong with positive activity, getting addicted to positive activity. I do like a bit of dark chocolate.
How's that changed you, would you say, from having such highs with substances? Yeah, I know what they're like, but I haven't done crystal meth or heroin or crack, but I've done cocaine, and I know what that feels like. It feels quite nice. But so, after you've done that,
all right. So there's all kinds of ways of getting highs. Doing a lineup against a bunch of karate black belts is going to send your adrenaline off the scale. When I first started out, public speaking. Get in front of a big audience, that sends your adrenaline up. Even when I first started out podcasting, I can see looking back, my adrenaline's way up on those early podcasts. Yeah. So when you've got,
are you nervous? Are you being a good talker?
In the early podcasts, I was really nervous. I'm thinking all along, what am I going to ask next? Is something going to go wrong? Blah blah blah. I'm a perfectionist. I'm always trying to cover all of my bases in advance in my head. So I've got like 5 questions lined up in my head for the guest, in case they run out of steam. And learning about how guests tell their stories, because some guests come in, I'll ask them a question, they give a 10-second answer. So I've got to have 5 questions in my head for that person because otherwise I'm going to run out. So my ideal now, I've got a guest screener now, and he pre-interviews the guests, and he sends me a video he's done with them showing that they could tell a story, and people who give 10-second answers, we don't have them on anymore.
So let me tell you about why I'm on here. Well, why am I on here? Why have you got me on here?
I've got you on here because you're just an absolute charismatic, quirky, compelling to watch, high sex appeal, and I think you're just going to really resonate with the viewers. Good job, Purple Aki's not in the room.
A gentleman who I am metaphorically getting into bed with, called, you tell me who it is. Who's the gentleman who I'm going to mention now, who put us in contact?
Oh, Jamie.
Jamie.
Yeah, we work very closely with Jamie Boyle. He's a brilliant true crime author, and he has hooked up a lot of guests.
I'm very intrigued.
Shout out to Jamie.
Me and Jamie, we're looking at doing some books together, and I'm still not entirely sure. I like him. I think he's a great guy. He's done some bestsellers, and but he approached me, Jamie Boyle, and he actually asked me a lot of questions. Is he your guy?
So Jamie Boyle is going to be doing my right-hand guy, my best friend from childhood, Wildman's book. So I couldn't give it a bigger seal of approval than that.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
So Jamie Boyle, we're looking at doing several books.
Okay.
Do you know what? He said, why don't we do a book about mental health? I said, I'm not qualified to do that. But then I think, hold on a second, I help people. I'm not saying this with ego, big head, although I have got an ego and a big head. I get asked every week for advice on situations with sexuality, with problems with the law. Listen, I haven't even talked about it. I've formed my own foundation, the Bob Reid Foundation. We'll go there in a second. And I've got a wealth of experience from all of the pain and suffering. And I've had to study psychological... well, you keep quoting Nietzsche. I mean, I've studied all sorts of different people, and I don't know all the names. I'm not academic on it, but I've got the experience. I'm like, so I have got the experience on how to help people. I teach kids how to get back up on their feet. I run programs, anti-bullying programs, when life hits you hard. You know, the real stuff that you need to learn in life. So hang on. I could do a book about mental health. Talk firsthand from all of my experiences. So that's one book. And I thought...
People want to read personal experiences. They don't want to be preached at. You've been there and done it.
That's what I'm fascinated about. Like when you have those life-changing moments, you think, like I was up on that... I shouldn't have told you that, but
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. I was meeting some very scary people, and I thought I could have been shot and that would be the end of my life. There's a few stories like that. Yeah, be careful what I say. Yeah, Breaking Bad kind of stuff.
Because you've got this message to young people, that overrides all this nonsense from the trolls. And it's focusing on those qualities and showing that to the world that inspires the young people to do the right thing.
1,000,000%.
Don't get in the drugs. Don't get gangsteritis. Join a dojo if that's your thing, or find something else positive to channel your energy into.
You know, with the drugs, right? Who are the biggest drug dealers on the planet?
The cartels, the CIA, the intelligence agencies.
Really?
Yeah.
What about the governments? All the governments of the world.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The intelligence agencies are the branch of the government that runs it.
Yeah.
I've written books about that.
And I'm talking about cocaine and heroin. I'm not talking about all the other drugs. All the pharmaceutical, having studied. I'm not going to go into it because we'd be all down. I'm not want to get into David.
The Bush crime family was bringing all the coke in through the CIA, through Maine, Arkansas. Governor Clinton was providing the state police security. Because he played ball with the CIA, that's why they gave him the White House.
Where did cocaine become illegal?
When?
Was it 19... I mean, I know in World War One, in Harrods, you could go and buy an injection of morphine and cocaine to send to your loved one on the front line.
Okay, so...
Coca-Cola.
In the 1800s...
Wine.
In the 1800s, therapists, scientists, even Freud... people were trying to make the names from plants from South America and Central America. Freud, he learned about cocaine's use in curing morphine addiction, supposedly. And he wrote a paper called Uber Coca, and he was so high on coke, his fiancée at the time, her parents had moved her to the other side of the country to be as far away from Freud as possible. He got so high on coke, he wrote a letter to her saying, "Woe to you, my princess. When I come, I shall show you what it's like to be a big man charged up on cocaine." He's just writing all this nonsense too while he's high on cocaine. But like you said, they didn't know what was coming, the side effects and everything. So you could go into Harrods or whatever stores it was back then in the 1800s and get a syringe and some coke or some heroin, and heroin was prescribed to put kids to sleep. Yeah, so then there was the backlash. There was the state.
When did that happen?
This is in the late 1800s, I think. Then there was the backlash, and then the federal laws were introduced by Harry Anslinger, one of the first drug czars, and he was in for decades, and the whole world has its drug laws now because of Harry Anslinger. And he said to the whole world, for the United Nations, if you don't sign on for our war on drugs and make weed was his main thing. Marijuana, he wanted it to be made illegal because of its effect on the degenerate races. That was one of his quotes. The main reason to make it illegal is because it's its effect on the degenerate races. He was big time racist, and we have this insane drug war to this day because of this insane racist who was put in by Mellon, the Undersecretary of the US federal government's Treasury, who had investments in petrochemicals, fledgling pharmaceuticals, also put in by William Randolph Hearst, who had investments in paper and did the newspapers, and wiped out Henry Ford, who had a motor car made entirely on hemp fiber and biofuel, and said, "Why are you taking the petrochemicals of the earth, which is irreplaceable, when hemp, you can just grow it, grows anywhere, and replace it." And this is why they introduced all these drug laws.
What is going on with the world? I've watched the Zeitgeist film again.
Yes, I've watched them a few times.
I've watched it for years, and do you know about is it Project Venus? Is it, or Neptune? And long story short, we all have the ability to have completely renewable energy.
Yes,
and free. And it basically talks ultimately when you takes a bit of, it's a paradigm shift in consciousness. We wouldn't have to be slaves to something called money, profit. If everybody just got it. But again, that's what I call critical mass, 100 monkey syndrome. We have to do the best we can. I'm talking in yah language to a lot of people until everybody has a paradigm shift or decalcifies their pineal gland. Oh, I'm getting heavy here. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So our intuition, our DMT, which connects us, which has synapses. When you shut your eyes, the third eye has synapses which go back to the back of your brain, so where you can have perception, your sixth sense, gut, intuition, deja vu, tells you what's right and wrong. Yeah,
I went to a 2-day Isha yoga meditation, and I had the rising of the ball of energy up the spine, explosion out the head. Like, I didn't understand what was going on. It was crazy. And I ran out of there and it was pouring down with rain. I just had my t-shirt on and flip-flops. It was pouring down with rain and I ran out there and I was like that. Mother Nature, I embrace you.
That's
People
great.
were looking at me like I was crazy.
Great. No, it's great. I know I can feel that now. I'm getting into your vibe. This is the thing. I've done some DMT rituals, things like, I'm sure you've heard the ayahuasca, acacia, changa, mushrooms, and they change you. You start to see the world in a different way. And why was LSD banned? Because why do we want to go and fight? This is crazy. It's it's great. It's a great, powerful thing. Slavery. This boils me down, going back to why I say I agree with you. We should make all drugs legal. Do you know about the social scientific experiment in Portugal where they
It came from my hometown of Widnes.
Right.
They shut it down in Widnes because the shops were so happy that the heroin users weren't doing all the theft, all the shoplifting. They were going to roll it out across the whole country. And then one call from the White House to Downing Street, and it got shut down. But Portugal got their users down from over 100,000 to less than 50,000 because they weren't scared of being arrested anymore. They were speaking to the health counsellors. Brilliant. And it got them off the drugs.
Well, listen, this is the thing, right?
The war on drugs is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. They spent $2 trillion on it now in America.
So I've explained the rat utopia quickly. Do you know about rat utopia?
Yeah.
You could explain.
Johan Harry, I've had some dealings with him over the years, and he wrote about it. But go for it.
So basically, you give a rat two rats in different cages, one with just water and heroin, and the rats in that cage, well, they take all the heroin and die. Now you get another cage and you put water and heroin, but you also give the rats the best food, the best partners. Rat utopia, like Disneyland in Rat World, and the rats, they will take the heroin and cocaine water, but they won't take it all the time. So they try it and then they end up living. So basically what that's saying is the rats are happy outside of just the cocaine, then they're not going to keep taking it. So that's the theory on delegalizing.
So look what we've done then. We have commoditized human beings with addiction issues to put them in warehouses called prisons to make profit off them.
Yeah.
They're locked down primarily. The drug they're taking was heroin. So all we've done is re-traumatize them and kept them away from the park. And it's really sad. But it's that, like I said, is a massive industry.
So this is the thing. I understand, especially what's going on now with COVID. I've got to be careful what I say.
We definitely got to be careful with this. I had to take all my COVID videos down. I won't go into
it too much. But the question I want to ask, whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, there is controversy. We can all agree that. There's some people who don't agree with it, and they've got research to suggest why. These people who are saying anti-COVID things, they're being deplatformed. Why?
Because I got warned. I was going to get I almost got deplatformed over this, and YouTube sent me a notification, and they said that if I put anything more up that went against the view of the WHO, basically I'd be wiped out.
So why not get in a free democratic, well, whatever that means. All right, let's argue it, and let's have it out, and let them decide. Or is that because people don't have they're not savvy enough to make their own lineup? So we as government, or whoever is the ruling elite of the world, we need to control people by telling them what they can and can't do.
All right, so anyone can just go online and say anything they want. They've got that freedom of speech.
Yeah.
But YouTube is a platform that's got its own rules that it devises in accordance with the needs of its advertisers. So we make a choice to go on YouTube and play by their rules. That's the way I look at it. Some people say YouTube's messed up because they won't allow us to say these things. But the things you want to say, you can just go and say them anywhere else on YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, on the internet. Anyway, if you want to say those things, there's somewhere you can post them to.
I think my thing is, right, there's such unjust, immoral, socially, irrevocably terrible laws in this world which are legal. Legality doesn't equal morality.
Definitely not. And it's relative.
Let's go back to Hitler, Nazi Germany. It's all right to put gas Jews and throw them in ovens. That's all right because it's legal.
Laws change over time to suit the morals of whatever the people are thinking at that point in time.
But there's got to be people at different stages like, this isn't right. Like the Portuguese, they did that rule with the law with the drugs, so they have less drugs.
Well, yeah, exactly. And
so
the public's behind that. And there's the people in America voting for legalization, decriminalization of weed. That's not the government. That's the people at the state level reversing the laws. US federal government has maintained weed as a Schedule 1 substance more harmful than cocaine with no medicinal value whatsoever, because that's where the corporations want it to be.
I guess we won't talk about hydroxychloroquine then. Do you know that one? That was a deplatform.
Let's not go there if it's a deplatform.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, same.
But we could talk about elite deviance and moral relativism, because if you go back to ancient Greece, paedophilia with boys was a rite of passage.
1,000,000%.
And Epstein tried to use that as a defense to what he'd done. He said,
yeah. The Spartans, you as an 8-year-old Spartan, you'd be getting buggered senseless until you were of age and you did the buggering.
And now...
And that's fine.
And your
mother would send you off. Go on.
And now you've got paedophile priests getting a pass because they've got fancy lawyers and the sentences are nowhere near hard enough. When I went to the Hemp Museum in Holland, and on the wall there, they've got people in America still serving 25 years to life for weed possession under 3 strikes laws, which cost the taxpayers $50,000 a year times 25, 1.25 million, because someone had some weed.
Yeah. You're bringing to my points. One of the things that I have severely suffered, and I can't, for legal reasons, go into it.
Okay.
But I can tell you, because of the fact of I was so distraught, and I used every single penny I have, and then had money I didn't have to in the family court system.
What a nightmare.
I was
that
actually
place is.
considered selling a kidney. That's how distraught. I had a lawyer pull out I'm sure I can say this much. I had a lawyer pull out, and this is the level of desperation, that when someone is so desperate in a corrupt system, they will do whatever they can. You'll lose everything. And I see this sort of thing happening time and time again. People cash in their pensions, they put their rehab mortgage to the house so they can fund the family courts, And to me, it's a complete and utter racket between CAFCAS, CMS, that's Child Maintenance Service, the family courts, and there's these domestic abuse charities. These things go on. There are shitty, horrible people who commit horrible crimes, and those people should be punished by not seeing their children if they're going to be violent. But statistically, irrevocably, you can't deny, because of the facts, there is not an equality of law here. And that's one of the major things in law that we need, equality. How can there be one rule for one and one rule for another? Men don't get... The statistics in terms of abuse of men and women, violence, it's about roughly 60-40 in favour of women. 60% of women get abused, 40% of men get abused. So that's pretty even. I'm sure it's probably actually more. I don't have, because men don't complain. If we
Can anyone in there check that statistic on the phone?
Yeah. Around that. I think it might be 35, 36, that round, it changes. But what we're told continually is by a system which is being run by women, feminist movement, is that all absent parents are deadbeat dads. And it's this why I'm passionate to try and stop this terrible atrocity in society, because that is continually making another generation of children grow up. When a child grows up without a parent, generally a father, 9 times out of 10, is causing such abhorrent abuse in society. Have you got it?
Yeah, so in 2019, 7 in 100 women, 4 in 100 men reported abuse, domestic abuse.
Right. Yeah. So, and what I've discovered, and evidentially backed, it is a racket. I have evidence, and This is destroying people. And I have I know people who've committed suicide. I have a friend who committed suicide. I've lost 3 people. One of those was involved in child arrangements. And let's look at the CMS without going to it too big. It's Child Maintenance Service. This is making a fundamental. It's damaging our society so badly. It's a national security problem. When you've got soldiers who are more scared of CMS than the Taliban, when you've got fire brigade people involved in the Grenfell high up who have been signed off duty to go and look after all of those families and everything because they can't focus because of the CMS are doing. And it's all going to court. Everything. I'm trying to not mention names. That's not helping society. We need our services to be operating at full capacity, and our soldiers. I mean, that's not right. And this isn't one case. This is hundreds and hundreds of cases, continually. So imagine our soldiers going off, and they're more worried because the CMS are. Look, and what we're trying to say is, there are fathers who don't pay, but all these fathers are paying, and they can't afford to pay. They can't afford to live. They don't know where they're going to get the money. They're getting charged extra money. And what we've discovered, it's a big industry, a corrupt industry, which needs to change.
All those expert witnesses they bring in and everything, the family court, get paid bank. And I've interviewed multiple victims of the family court on this channel, and the same cast of characters just pops up all these hearings, and it's like the taxpayers' money is a feeding trough, and they've got to have reasons to get the schnauts into the feeding trough and just siphon all that money out. And any crisis, like what's going on around the world now, is the reason for the pharmaceutical companies to get the schnozzes in there. And any kind of human suffering, people with addiction issues, let's just put them in prisons and warehouse them as commodities. And more than half of my friends in prison were ex-soldiers, come back from wars, traumatized, didn't get any help, ended up in prison because street medicating on drugs. People who go to the family court, you are just a commodity. All these professionals, expert witnesses come in, and they're making millions off the back of it, of people's suffering.
I don't have all the statistics, but I wholeheartedly agree. It's horrendous. Let's look at something which is slowly starting to get some traction, although it's been here forever. Parental alienation is a direct hate crime and is direct child abuse. Domestic physical and psychological abuse. Why are we not trying this in the criminal courts? This is crazy.
Can you tell people what that means, parental alienation?
Parental alienation is when the parent who has major custody, sole custody, badmouths the other parent. And it might not just be the parent, it might be the family, the grandparents, and they're indoctrinating the child to think, let's say daddy in this case, which generally is the case. You don't need daddy, he's not good. But ultimately what they don't understand is that child, psychology says, is half of, psychologists say that the child doesn't see it like that. The child sees that half of them is bad. And it causes such abhorrent pains in the child. And it destroys not only the father and the paternal grandparents, all of that, it destroys the child. And the child grows up with all sorts of statistically proven challenges. Highly sexual, promiscuous, experimenting with drugs, crazy, looking for love, looking for that missing link. And it's a thing in society which is continually allowed to go on. And it's like I said, when you've got soldiers who are committing suicide and fire staff who can't operate, or ambulance drivers who are having problems with doctors, this isn't right. This is terrible for society. It's extreme abuse. It needs to stop. Yeah, and which is why I have formed the Bob Reid Foundation after my father. And again, I can't go into that entirely, but all I can tell you was very loving man, who loved children, lots of grandkids, died broken, really upset, and I can't tell you why. And all he did was a good guy. Now, in his number one attribute was kindness. That's when on his deathbed, I said, "What was one thing? Just be kind." We're fighting, we're lobbying government for transparency, because the courts are completely cut off from you don't know what's going on. So bad decisions are rife. The transparency would stop that, because then people are going to be accountable.
Because it's completely secret, isn't it, the family court?
Completely. Understandably, if there's safeguarding issues, then obviously we protect the child. We're not stupid, we get that. There's not every case is going to be the same. Some cases might need to be cordoned off, so you can't see, you don't know what's going on. But it should start off as transparent. The burden of proof. What does that mean? In the criminal courts, if you tell a lie, you can go to prison for that. If you're not in the criminal courts, and these are destroying lies. How often are the absent parent, which is a horrible word, being called a paedophile? It's thrown around, and domestic abuse. Domestic abuse is used continually because it instantly gives it gives legal aid to the other parent, so they can. And what happens then is, listen, it's just, I'm getting a bit funny here. It's hurting me. Sorry. Law of equality. Again, I mentioned that earlier on. It needs to be equal. It should be 50-50. In Israel, for instance, they seem to have it right. It's instantly, when a family split up, there's 50-50 custody. But they're doing something right. They don't have the problems there that we have. So they have problems, but not the same. Yeah. So the burden of proof. Yeah, but going back to that, I know people who have had the most horrific lies told about them. They've destroyed their families. And there's no repercussions when the lies have been proven to be lies. That's absolutely destroyed. What does that do to the child? Yeah. So I formed the Bob Reid Foundation. Let's be a bit more positive now. This is one thing I'm very passionate about. I once a soldier, wanted to be a tough guy. This is my way of being Batman or Edward Woodward. I get to do something good. For evil to exist, a good man does nothing. So I'm doing my bit, doing the best I can to change these horrendous laws and to wake the bloody world up in the best way we can. I'm not anti-women by any means. And it's funny, we've got so many women on the Bob Reid Foundation, which is, I wish I had a foundation like this when I started out years and years ago on this journey. Then I wouldn't have been in such a dire situation that I've become in. But I see hope, and if I can help other people, then that helps me.
We just got to raise awareness of these issues, and then there becomes that tipping point in the public where the demands are made and changes are effected. And it's great that you are bringing attention to the family court, because it is so secretive. I had no idea about it until I interviewed these other people.
Yeah.
And they just completely woke me up to the horrors. So if people watching this, Sharon Gale, what she went through with the family court is horrendous.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of the other guests as well that you could check out. I'm also going to put the link to the Bob Reid Foundation in the description box below the video so people can check that out.
If you need
as well.
help, if you're going through trouble, contact us and we'll see what we can do. We've got a lot of advice, a lot of help, a lot of experience on there. Every level as well, from Mackenzie friends to lawyers to filling in the right forms. If you don't know where to start, there's just contact me, and you can contact me on you'll put the link on www.thebobreidfoundation.com.
It's right there below this video.
Yeah.
Right, going back to your life story then, parachute regiment. What was that like?
Scary because I'm scared of heights. But I'm bloody tough, aren't I? Dad was a para, so I didn't even know he was a para until I was about 14 because he was a hippie.
Yeah.
I said, oh, Dad was a para. Okay. I have to join the paras now.
So is that always an adrenaline rush, or do you get used to it?
I think I wasn't so much it wasn't a rush. I was just scared shitless the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wanted to be tough.
Yeah.
My mission to help people being bullied, wanting to be, and not wanting to feel scared anymore. So I'd face my fears by going and doing them. I wasn't a fighter.
Yeah.
I pretended to be a fighter. I literally pretend. Oh, and after maybe 100 fights, I feel a bit like a fighter now. I'm tough now. Yeah. I mean, I remember like I'd be in a change room before a fight. Oh my God, what am I doing? Jesus Christ. Oh God, I've got to fight. Let's go. All right, let's put that hat on. This is weird. I become different people. We're all different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you get out there, do you have to put on the eye of the tiger then on your opponent?
Yeah.
It's like prison, any weakness. You're going in, any weakness. They're going to prey on you.
Yeah. I imagine that. I imagine if I went to prison, heaven forbid, you like, are you acting?
Yes.
Are you like, tell me, you scared? Are you scared the whole time?
First day in, I'm seeing people's heads get smashed against toilets and stuff like that. And first few days in, this is.
What prison were you in?
And the prisoners come up to me. This is Towers Jail, Maricopa County Jail System, Phoenix, Arizona, 2002. Aryan Brotherhood prison gang completely controlled a white race. And they've just attacked someone they suspected was a chomo, a suspected child molester.
Suspected?
Yeah, this person.
So if you're suspected, is that you're done?
Generally, they will ask for paperwork. And if you say you accuse someone and you don't show the paperwork, they'll stab you up.
Right.
So yeah, maybe a guard had tipped them off. I don't know I was new to this, so I don't know how they come to the conclusion this person was a chomo. But this person got brutalized in the shower. When the person was getting carried out, there wasn't just blood coming out. I said there was like yellow. It was a bit of a mess.
Does that mean he's dead?
I don't know. They take them out on the stretcher, and you just don't know what's happened to them. So prisoners started coming up to me saying, "You got to get that look of shock off your face, or else you're going to get preyed on." Now, a year later, when I got moved from medium security to maximum security, I've got all the slang down. I've got the prison walk down. I've got the dead eyes.
Give me the dead eyes.
Dead eyes is just like, there's no emotion, just completely like, there's nothing there. I've got warmth to me now. Look at my driver's license picture from when I got released.
Come on, let's do some acting. I'm an actor.
Let me show you what I look like when I got out.
Does it take a while to become human again?
Yeah, it did. Let's see if I've got my driver's license picture here.
I do know that as you become like the people you hang around. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Look.
So a year in,
go. Talk to me like.
I don't think I could do it now because I've got my life back.
Just do it. Do it. If you don't do it, I'm going to shank you. I'm going to shank you. Fucking do it. Do it.
All right, let's go.
Hey, do it.
I'm getting flustered.
Put it in your mouth.
I'm getting flustered.
Put it in your mouth.
Is this foreplay? All right, let's do a reenactment. So,
I've just
first day in.
Just crushed my phone.
Holy shit, man! First day in. You got insurance on it.
No, listen.
You got insurance on it.
Listen, I need you to do me a favour.
Yeah.
I need to smuggle this somewhere.
Keistered in the bum.
Do you think you could say that?
We'll get to
tell
that.
me. Do you actually do that?
We'll do smuggling. Let me just go back to my original story. So I'm shitting myself, right? First few days in. A year later, I get moved to maximum security. I don't know anybody. It's going to be all murderers in there. I'm thinking, right, I can act now. I can put on the prison walk. I know all the slang. I'm going to go over to the whites table, the woods, and I'm going to convince them I'm one of them, and they're going to accept me, and they're not going to brutalize me. So I walk. I'm doing the prison walk. Walk up to the table.
Can you do the prison walk? Come on, let's see it.
Chest up. Yeah, exactly.
Let me do the prison walk.
Kind of.
Come on, do the walk.
Bit lopsided. Let's see. I think like bit more of a spring. Like
Are you joking me?
arms
That's
out.
the
Bit
prison
of a,
walk.
bit of a spring.
That's a little bit like someone down
I'm
Soho.
doing the camp version.
Oh,
No
hello.
doubt. All right, so I roll in.
Yeah.
Go to the head of the whites.
Oh, you go straight to him.
Yeah. And they're like, "What up, Wood?"
What up, Wood?
Yeah.
How they talk?
Where you rolling from?
Yeah.
Towers. What you in for? Trafficking. How come you're in max? My bail got doubled from $750,000 to $1.5 million. That's a big bail, Wood. You guys fucking organised crime or what? And he's just looking at me.
You're doing the eyes now. I can see you going into it.
I'm like, no, raves, ecstasy. It was a big case, a lot of co-defendants, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going on and on and on to him like that. So he's like, you can stand and eat at the end of the table. So I stand and eat at the end of the table, talking to them. At the end of that, I go back to my cell, wondering what have they thought of me? Have they accepted me? Do they think I'm one of them? So he comes, hours later, he comes into my cell with all his legal paperwork and says, "Here, I want you to read this." He saw completely through me that I was an educated person. So in his mind, he has to put, where are you going to fit in his world? What use are you to the gang?
Yeah.
This guy's a legal eagle. He can read my legal paperwork. I could put him to work for me. Third of them can't even read all right.
Yeah.
So it's all an act. It was all an act by me to get through it, to survive. I'm not a big tough guy.
No, I know.
But I was around a lot of them.
So did you get used to being... How did you sleep?
Oh man, it depends who your cellmate is.
How was that?
I had one cellmate who was a home invader torturer who was tying drug dealers up with duct tape and taking ball-peen hammers to their kneecaps.
You're doing what?
Taking ball-peen hammers to their kneecaps. That was his favourite method of torture. So I show up in his cell and he says to me, "I've got a padlock in a sock. I can smash your brains in while you're asleep. I can kill you whenever I want." I didn't sleep very easily around him at all. This is a snoring desert. It's almost 50 degrees. There's hardly any cool air. So everyone's just asleep on the bunk in the boxer shorts without any bedding over you because it's too hot. But I was putting like a big thick blanket over me in case he just fucking got up in the night and went for my head.
Did you think you would ever do that?
Yeah, I did for quite a while.
And how long did you ever become friendly with him?
Well, there were moments where I felt we bonded, but there were other moments where he just reverted to fucking psychotic.
How do you mean psychotic?
He was just off his head on heroin and
Drugs.
crystal meth and just raging. I mean, he was proud of he showed me all of his legal paperwork. The day he got arrested, it was like he was in a house and they had like a tank. It was all headline news. They had the tank and like fucking police and military and everything surrounding it. And then even after he got sent down, he was in transportation going to court one day and there was a chomo.
A chomo?
A child molester.
Oh,
in transportation in the cell with them, a holding cell. And he did a kangaroo court on that person, stabbed him up, and said to everybody who was watching, put like a knife to their eyes and said, "Oh fucking, any you snitch on me, I will fucking find you in the system, take your fucking eyeballs out and eat them." So he was an aggressive individual, let's say. But somehow I managed to get through it unscathed. Only got in a few situations, never got any teeth knocked out, never got any bones broken.
Do you ever get any fights?
Yeah. Didn't get the better of them, but like I said, never got any teeth knocked out, never got any bones broken.
What they do?
All right, one of them, the guy I mentioned, the serial home invader torturer, he used his mate as his fucking cat's paw, Prison, I was told, is like high school mentality with deadly consequences, and this is an example of this story. Being with that cellmate could have got deadly, that's what I'm trying to say. But he got his mate to attack me when my parents had flown to visit me for Christmas.
Why?
5,000 miles.
Why?
To spoil it.
Why?
To spoil it because it's like I said in the very beginning, the trolls hate you because they're envious of your success, and or some of them want to have sex with you and they can't. My cellmate, he was thrown away as a kid. He never had parents. He was just raised on the streets. He sees me, a guy who's come from a loving home, had a good education, got a family flying 5,000 miles to visit him for Christmas when he doesn't even get any visits. And visits are like gold for prisoners. So in his mind, he wants to sabotage that because he's aggressive, he's psychopathic, and he's angry and he wants to lash out at somebody. That's the way I psychoanalyzed it anyway.
Do you think, could you ever see beyond his pain?
I did.
And
I tried to bond with him and understand him.
Did it happen?
No, because it culminated with him getting his mate to attack me.
From that?
Some people are scorpions. It doesn't matter how much you help them, they're going to fucking sting you at some point.
I was married to one.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's sad.
It is sad.
So what happened?
And my heart opened up for him when he told me his life story.
And then what? After you beat you got beaten.
He got his mate to attack me when I'm walking down this corridor to see my parents.
And then what happened? Did you see your parents?
Yeah. So what happened is, the big guy, he was like 20 plus stone. He was training kickboxing. I'd done about 6 months kickboxing. I didn't know shit.
Yeah.
Didn't come up to me man to man, face to face. Comes up behind me, bam, starts kidney punching me from behind. I spin around because all the prisoners are watching. Now, if you don't hit back, you're a punk and everyone's going to prey on you. But if you do hit back, you're arrested, sent to a prison within the prison, locked down, lose all your privileges, including your visits. So I don't get to see my mum and dad. And they can add more time onto your sentence.
Fuck's sake.
If you don't hit back, they're going to be lined up at your cell because you're now a prison punk, taking everything you've got, lining up for blowjobs and renting you out as a prison prostitute. So you got
not all bad then.
Don't make me get to the prison sex stories.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I'm hitting back.
Yeah, but some people, generally, I've got some freaky fans. They'd be like, yeah.
I'm hitting back. I mean, look at my hands. Wild man's hands are like twice the size of my fist. I've got like fucking office workers' hands. I'm not having any. It's like hitting a big bag of cement to me, hitting this guy. So he just smashes me down, and it's all over. Someone says the guard's coming. I go to the visit all injured. Mum asks what's happened, and I can't say. She's already been stressed out about me enough as it is. So so that ended my my fucking him being my cellmate. Yeah.
How did you change?
How did I change?
How did you put an order in, a request?
What I did was I played the system, and if I said anything about him threatening me, I would have been a snitch.
Yeah.
And everybody would have wanted to have killed me.
Yeah.
KOS. So I had the British Embassy put a call in requesting that I get moved to a different cell without getting him in trouble. And he come fucking running down the stairs the next day when I got moved because we were locked down. And he's like, there's no way you can get fucking moved out of a cell that fast. 007. He was calling me 007 for some reason. He goes, I'm finding out right now if you fucking snitched on me. If you fucking snitched on me, I'm going to fucking kill you. And if you get moved out of this building, I've got people all over the prison that are going to fucking kill you. He found out I hadn't snitched on him. He was still throwing batteries at me for a couple of weeks afterwards because I was down here and he was up on the upper tier until I got a cellmate who was bigger, had some words, and it stopped after that. And also my new cellmate introduced me to a guy called Two Tonys, who I ended up bonding with, who was a banana crime family associate, multiple homicide murderer, serving 140 something years.
So my brother's bigger than your brother.
Yeah. Two Tonys had my back, and once that happened, I never got attacked again, even though I did get in some scrapes.
Wow.
I know, it's mental, isn't it?
That is mental. What was the food like?
In the jail, which was run by Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who prided himself on being America's toughest sheriff, breakfast was mouldy bread and green bologna.
Bologna.
Yeah,
That's
like
like
some
meat.
fucking raw sausage meat that's gone past its sell-by date.
Yeah.
And the evening meal was a mystery meat slop. I'm going to gag now, that we called Red Death. And that
No lunch.
occasionally had a dead rat in it.
No lunch.
No lunch. No lunch.
Mystery meat slop.
Yeah.
But could you buy food?
You could get, if you had money on your inmate account sent by your family members, you could spend $20 a week. So my lunch would be a Snickers bar or a little thing of peanut butter.
Yeah. So tell me, if you've got money, do you not get robbed?
Yeah, you get extorted.
So I've had a few fights. People would, but I've had probably 5 street fights in my life. Street fights. Mine have been competitions on a mat or in a dojo and a ring.
Yeah.
Very different. The competition, there's rules as a referee. What would happen to me? Would it be tools? I mean, I could fight.
What I learned was...
I'll have a go. But the thing is...
What I learned was, over time, the guys that are the toughest have the highest mortality. I'll give you the story of a Golden Gloves boxer.
Mortality?
Yeah, gonna die or gonna get attacked or gonna have to fight the most. I'll give you the story of a Golden Gloves boxer who was part of the Italian mafia clique in prison. He was a friend of mine. These guys were absolutely great guys. He became the head of the whites. This is I'm living in a 45-man pod that's designed for 15 prisoners, so it's way overcrowded. Tensions are high. Crystal meth use is rampant, so people are paranoid as fuck.
So
He's got to fight constantly.
Why?
Because he's the head of the whites.
Oh, so he's in charge.
Yeah, and that's violence within the race. Just disciplining your own people, because the gangs are running the drugs business through the prison, which is their absolute priority. They don't want interracial violence, because then everything gets locked down for days and it stops the flow of the drugs.
So if you're tough, you're fighting all the time. He
was fighting all the time, and he ended up fighting a guy called... It was a Rule 11, which means seriously mentally ill. And I watched this fight, and it went on for fucking ages. This mentally ill guy could not be knocked out, and he had him against the wall like he was going to fucking kill him. Just his head was just covered in blood. And he'd leave the cell with this guy covered in blood and tapping out or whatever, or just saying it was over. And just as he's out the cell, the guy jump on his fucking back again. And this went on and on and on. And it looked like he was going to kill this guy so many times. And the next day, the Golden Gloves boxer guys, his hand was like as big as a fucking grapefruit. All his teeth were chipped to fuck. And he was like, that's it. I'm not fucking being the head of the whites anymore. I'm sick of it. So
did he get done after that though?
He just passed it on to somebody else, because he did have respect, because he'd won all of his fights. He won every single fight.
Then he had an easy life. Can you have an easy life in prison?
No, you can't. It's never an easy life. Even if you're trying to have an easy life, someone's going to plot some drama against you.
It's because of the nature of the people in the...
Yes.
Or is it? Yeah. It doesn't matter. Even if you're the best nature, I imagine, because you're confined and there's all that drug use.
It's a predatory environment where animal instincts dominate.
So the drug use, right? I mean, what's the come down like on this crystal meth?
Okay, so I was doing crystal meth. I wasn't injecting it. I was snorting it. And
how long does that keep you high?
In the beginning, I felt superhuman.
What does that do? Does that keep you high?
It makes coke look weak.
Right.
You just do one line of meth, and that's it. You're going for a day.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of people have crossed over from coke to meth, so they didn't have to spend all that money and they could just stay high. So I started out in the stock market in my office.
Can you function on that stuff?
In the beginning, you can, but then the side effects hit. So in the beginning, I thought I was superhuman. Didn't have to sleep. I was making a record amount of money because my aggression went up on the phone with my clients.
They used it in World War II for the troops.
Yeah, they did. There was a different recipe that they used.
So is it good for a soldier to fight?
Okay, in the beginning, you will be hyper vigilant and alert. And I think they use some kind of speed with pilots. But over time, anything that destabilizes your natural state,
you're going
to go the other way. So I'll give you a story of what I saw. Headline news in Arizona. Mailman. Picture of him, healthy, glowing, face full. 1 year later, crystal meth addict, face completely sunken in, eyes bugged out.
It does your jaw, doesn't it? I see that.
Why he'd made headline news was because he'd been driving on the motorway, or the freeway as they say in America, with his 2 sons in the back of the car. He'd been up for days. He was having psychosis, hallucinations. He saw that one of his sons had turned into a demon that was going to kill his other son, reached under his driver's seat, pulled out a Rambo knife and cut the son's head off in front of the other son. That's where it ends up. People think the drugs are glamorous and it's so much fun, but the pleasure goes down every time you do drugs and the pain rises in the background. Yeah,
that's horrendous.
Yep.
Oh man,
should we go over to the prison sex? I think that might give us more of a laugh than this dark realm.
Did you ever get nervous about what if you ever wanted to knock one out? Is that easy?
We've done videos on can you wank in prison, and there's various all right, so going on a date, there's a lot of terminology in this stuff. Going on a date means in the plastic bag your breakfast bread is served in. You're allowed 7 photos in your cell, so your bird can send you some sexy photos, lingerie, whatever. You get your bird's photo in the plastic bag. You get some tape and you put it on the shower wall, and the plastic bag protects the water, and that's going on a date, is beating off to the pic of your girlfriend.
Right, in the shower?
In the shower, yeah.
Are the showers have you got private cubicle or not?
So there's a lot of different showers in different security levels of prison. So in Supermax, you got your own cubicle. In Max Security, there was a day room and there was a bunch of open plan showers. So there's when you go to a urinal, sometimes there's a bit of a divide. So you can kind of go in the divide with your dick. So it's kind of covered from the guards watching and the people in the day room. And wank off. They can see your elbow going like that. But it's understood that you got to get it out.
They don't do anything?
No, they don't. Okay, all sexual acts in prison are considered a disciplinary infraction. And they can write you up for any sex act in prison, whether masturbation or sex with a guard, consensual or otherwise. You can get serious trouble for it. But in that jail, obviously guys had to fucking get it out of the system and they allowed them to do it. But in other circumstances, if a female guard pops up at your door doing a count in the night and you're whacking off, you're going to get a very serious charge for that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you don't whack off in your bed? You
got to time it right. I generally did it in the shower where I knew
What about
I had
rapes and all that sort of stuff?
Rape is so common in American prison. You've got to go to a rape class now to get taught how not to get raped.
How do you not get raped?
Well, the rape class is just a waste of time. It's just a box ticking exercise. You watch a video. There's young people in the day room. There's predators in the day room. The new arrivals come in, and the young people who are naive and don't know the ropes and are hungry take food from the predators. Then they got them. Because then they say, look, you got to pay for that now. Well, I got no money. Well, we're going to stab you unless you pay for it. Well, how am I supposed to pay for it? Go in that cell over there and just do whatever he says. And that's called getting turned out or becoming a prison punk. And then you get rented out by the gang. There's no turning back from that. The conclusion of the rape class was, to stop rape, you've got to report it. Report anything, you're a snitch. So it's just...
how often do people get done for being snitches?
People get really... at the bottom of the spectrum, the hierarchy are snitches and chomos, and they are generally KOS. But there's a lot of people saying this guy's done
Do
this.
Do they not have their own dorm? Sort of
yes. If they get brutalized so much, they will get sent to their own prisons eventually. If they make it out alive.
What a horrible time, hey? I'm intrigued to read this. Yeah, scary. I can see the picture, your face, oh Jesus.
Yeah, I'm going to send you Nietzsche's Ecce Homo as well.
Wow.
So I had trans friends in prison that would melt plastic into sex toys.
do melt plastic.
Into sex toys. I had one, Xena, who was 6.5 foot, very charismatic. She made her own beaded G-string.
Wow.
And she introduced me to her friend Donna, who had completed the removal of the testicles with a razor blade. And Donna was the closest thing to a woman I saw. And she was coming on to me saying she loved the English accent and she was an Anglophile.
She took her testicles off in prison.
Yeah.
How did she do that?
All right, well, Xena did it as well later on. I'll tell you exactly how Xena did it because she written me a 10 fucking page letter on it.
Did they?
So Xena wakes up one morning.
I know castratos, back in medieval ages, they would, to keep a choir boy with a high voice, they tied their balls and it would just drop off.
So Xena had Mosby's medical dictionary and a cup of coffee. No painkiller whatsoever. With a felt tip pen, she drew various lines on her scrotum. Gets the razor blade, cuts the scrotum open. The testicles are on branches called the vas deferens. She severs through the spermatic cord on one side and the gristle to get one side off.
What does that mean? What does that do? Why?
There's like spermatic cord and gristle holding the testicle to the vas deferens. Just like two eggs on either side.
Yeah.
So she gets the razor blade and cuts through that. She's got it tied off to stop the blood.
How did she tie it off?
I don't know, but the other testicle. I'll give you the whole details. I'm just paraphrasing from her letter after the podcast. It's in my book Prison Time if anyone wants to check it out. The other nut must have known what was coming because it retracted into her body. So now she's got her hands up in her guts looking for it. And where she has got it tied off to stop the blood comes open and blood squirts across the cell. And now she's thinking she's got to get the other one off. She's going dizzy.
She's going to die.
The red hot pain is hitting her from cutting the first one off. She's going dizzy. She's scrambling around and she said she could feel her organs and stuff, squishy stuff, trying to find this other testicle, but she couldn't find it. But fortunately for her, they got a helicopter to the prison just in time to get her to hospital to save her life. She was on suicide watch for a year and then she cut the other one off. And the previous trans that I mentioned who cut them both off, hers got infected and she got busted because it got infected and she got in a shitload of trouble for it as well. But the trans prisoners believe they are women trapped in men's bodies and they want to get the estrogen smuggled in.
What
they
sort
want
of pain
cut
must
off the
that have been?
testosterone. Well, when she first cut it, she said the pain wasn't what she expected. She thought it was going well. But it was later on when things went wrong, the red hot pain started to hit her.
Have you heard that story before?
You haven't heard the story about when she first came in.
It's hot or not?
It's a horrible, dark story.
Oh, raped.
And how she stopped it.
Oh.
She started fighting back and she used bird beak strike out of karate where she took the next two times the gang came to rape her. The first member of the gang to put his hand on her, she pulled his eyeball out. After she did that twice, they left her alone.
Wow.
On two separate occasions she did that.
It actually worked.
Yeah. Well, they teach it us in karate. I thought that was impossible.
Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Uma Thurman.
Yeah.
No, that's not Uma Thurman. It's the other one.
Wasn't that what the guy did on you? Or did he just hit your eye out?
Oh, yeah. Do you know what? That was painful.
Yeah.
I got Xavier Fupicum. I call him Xavier Pokem in the Iron. A French champion. We were having a fight. Again, what was that? That was Old Court again.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if I was singing "I'm Going Home" he was going home in a London ambulance. So, he's going home in a London ambulance. I went home in a London ambulance that time as well.
You're lucky I went back in. And
you saw that one. It's like being struck like lightning.
Yeah.
I was beating him, hit him. Yes, and then the thumb.
I did it with the thumb.
But to the back of the head. I mean the pain.
Yeah.
Oh God. You see it. It's like I've been hit by lightning.
Yeah.
Jump backwards.
Fucking hell.
And I'm like, can you carry on? Yeah. Let's go. And then about
Jesus
5 seconds
Christ,
later,
man.
the other one. Can you carry on? Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've carried on. No, you can't see. I mean, that shit happens. He was an all right guy. I was gutted because he come out fast, really fast. And he hit me, and then I'm like, I got him. And I'm like, right, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Hey-ho. That's a different person, though.
So the gang left her alone after that, but they went on to some of her friends. One of her friends was gang raped. Then they shoved a light bulb in his backside and made bets on who could smash it first. And that prisoner committed suicide. Another one, though, was gang raped, and they got a shovel from the work crew and cut his head off. And that was the Aryan Brotherhood, and they positioned it in a part of the prison where the rival gangs could see it to make the point they were the most violent and ruthless gang. Yeah. I mean, these stories they told me, they'd served decades, these people, when I met them. I was like a fresh fish. And the stories just absolutely blew my mind of what they'd seen over the years.
I don't like nastiness. You don't strike me as not a person who also doesn't like nastiness. And when you see these sort of things, it does change you.
Yeah.
And it's sad. We live in a sad world.
And you realise how dangerous the world is as well, and what humans are capable of.
Yeah, man. It's all right. I've got my Superman socks on. I just realised I've got blue socks on.
Look, Alex, you've been very generous with your time. You've done over 2 hours. Do you want to say anything in conclusion?
It's been a pleasure, mate. I find it fascinating. I've been listening to you. Absolutely fascinating. Just want to say that, so I'm an exciting guy. I haven't told you one thing. There's a bit of sadness here as well, but it's not that sadness because I believe in the law of attraction and I'm vibrating where I'm going to go. I'm having a baby this year or next year.
Congratulations, man.
Well, the baby isn't actually implanted yet. We have 4 embryos in the freezer and we're ready to go. We've had some trouble, me and my lovely lady Nicola, who I really know what love's all about now. Babe mini Reid is in the freezer ready to go, so I'm going to be a dad again next year, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to have a baby, and if anyone needs any help in the family courts, check out the Bob Reid Foundation.
Yeah, please go down there and check that link out.
I also I run boot camps, bit of an entrepreneur. Plan on taking over London with my different boot camps, Boot Camp UK. So if you're interested in boot camps, check that out. That's the day job. You know, away from all of the other craziness.
Yes.
When I'm not being a loving darling.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to squat down here, and as we promised the viewers, you were going to demonstrate the chokehold you were going to do on James English that day. I'll suffer for him. Go through that.
So which one should we do? Okay. So you get that bit. This is easy. And you go like that. And
Fucking hell.
Right.
Oh shit.
Do you want to go out?
No, I gotta close the podcast.
There we go. Alright? Right, sweetheart.
I think you've just fixed something in my neck.
Do we do the other side?
I think you fixed something.
Did I
clicked.
There you go. That's called a rear naked.
Woo!
Rear naked, baby.
Foreplay, baby.
You haven't got a gi on. A gi is a martial arts uniform.
Yeah, I've got one of them.
Oh, have you? Yeah.
Yes.
Shaun, it's been a pleasure, mate. Is there anything you'd like to finish with?
What are you doing after this, big boy?
I'm going to do my boot camp.
Okay. Props to you for doing that. And we've got another guest coming.
Who have you got?
We've got a guy whose story has never been told before. I won't say his name at this point because this one's going to come up quite quick. I don't want the trolls just going all over him. So it's going to be fascinating, though. Everyone we have on here is just absolutely gripping true stories. Yeah.
Where are you going?
Where am I going?
That's a general question.
Oh, man, it's like...
51 years young.
So when I was young, I watched Wall Street, Greed is Good. my goal was I got to be a millionaire by the age of 30, which is what I did. But went off the rails, had no emotional maturity. So I used to be like the Chinese, 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I just wake up with a smile on my face now, see how the day's going, and everything's just really expanding for me in a positive direction without having that drilled in my head. I got to be this.
Do you meditate?
Yeah.
I can see. And you're
Thanks.
quite philosophical. I mean, and you've had a lot of experience. I mean, I all the where you've come from,
Yeah.
and where you've been, and then to come out of all of that.
Yeah.
I find you quite fascinating. It's really weird because I think I told you when I spoke to you just before I came on here. I saw a YouTube cartoon video of you about this famous drug kingpin. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Infographics, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'm here. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I thought that guy's interesting, and I always wondered what's he like? Is he? I mean, seeing gangsters, they're never like the businessmen.
I think people are fascinated because it's like the story of a normal person in dangerous situations.
I mean, I do
I'm
know
like-
the scarier stereotypes, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's all sorts of types. The stereotype is like the scary looking dude,
Yeah.
and I've seen these sort of people, and they're scary, and I see that nastiness, but that's not all gangsters.
I get criticised all the time. People say Attwood thinks he's a gangster. Attwood's, saying he's a gangster. I've never ever said I was a gangster.
Yeah.
I graduated from university and just set my sights on transferring the rave scene from Manchester to Arizona.
Well, who are the biggest gangsters on the planet? The governments.
The government, politicians. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's go and let's make, like I said earlier on, legality doesn't mean morality,
Yeah.
and just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right, and it's we need to stop this.
We do. We need to end the war on drugs and start the war on pitfalls.
Yeah, will we ever do that?
I think the public pressure is rising. I mean,
But-
the Epstein case.
How do you stop that?
Shaun,
How do you stop that?
everyone
though?
from Prince Andrew,
Well,
all these people.
But how do you stop that though? When there's so many bad people. I'd love to go what they're doing the ghettos in Bangladesh and in India. They're going in these poor children who are just.
I just interviewed a guy called Ron Swanson, and it was the first guest who made me vomit in my mouth. And I vomited in my mouth interviewing this guest because he talks about the kids in those countries and these things called red rooms, where you pay to watch it and you pay for the level of torture you want to be done on the kid and the kid to ultimately be murdered. Red rooms, yeah, they're out there, it exists.
When you've got, these sort of people, like, they want, why can't they use that anger and hate to go and stop these bad people? They do, don't they?
There's like a cycle of it, isn't there? Where a lot of people who were abused end up feeling that the only way they have any power is to like put a gun to someone's head or to do something abusive back to someone else, because no one's helped them their entire lives. The government shutting down the youth centres and all these things are factors that just contribute to this. And a lot of the violence that we're seeing around the world is because drugs are illegal, criminals competing for that black market profit. Knife crime in London, hundreds of thousands dead in Mexico. A lot of it revolves around the drugs being illegal.
Sorry, that's just still trying to get that image out of my head.
Well, I've got the podcast. It's going up. Ron Swanson, The Deep Web and Red Rooms. If people want to watch that one, but Ron believes by exposing it, by showing what's happening, it's the only way to get these things shut down. Bringing
Can
the
we
truth to light.
we're Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark together, and we've got an army we've got multi-billion dollars. We create our own army of anti-paedophile Edward Wood equalisers. Is that going to stop it all? We're going to kill them all. Is that going to stop it all? Let's look.
What about castration then?
Doesn't even work. That does. It's still just. From what I know, it's going to stop them physically being able to get an erection, and there's castration where they can have chemical castration.
So, it's,
But how does it doesn't necessarily stop someone to abuse?
the majority of it is men, isn't it? And I think if you can cut off the male sex drive by chemical castration, perhaps
Is it the majority men? I don't know the statistics.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not. I mean, that would make common sense.
Yeah. And the most common, it's like within the family, and alcohol is involved.
Happy thoughts. Yes. I mean, like some light. Let's finish on something light. And I'm not trying to generate this. I mean, generate. That's the word. Throw this under the carpet.
Yeah.
I'm conscious that we're about to leave, and I want to.
Yeah.
I want to leave with some energy. That we're happy. Yeah, it's a nasty world, but look, there are good people. There are good people.
There are, man. It's there's good and bad in everyone. There's good and bad all over the world. By focusing on the good, we can help it come out.
Yeah. Yeah, Mabel, I keep talking about that critical mass where like enough people can vibrate at the same frequency.
Mm-hmm.
I generally believe that will save us.
Yes.
Make us. I think human beings are naturally good.
They are.
And we've been corrupted. I'm not going to go into this because we'd be here all day with the Garden of Eden and all the different anarchy and being twisted and bent and all that sort of stuff by different entities and beings and aliens and all that sort of stuff. But long story short, we are good and we're trying to get back. There's enough good people. Once we,
it's a message of love.
Yeah. All you need is love.
And we'll have a big smoochy hug in a minute, but I just got to give the closing credits.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this. Hope you've enjoyed it. It has been deep, fascinating, emotional. I just feel like I've got such good chemistry with Alex, having only just met him. Would love to get him back on. I've got all these questions sent in for him that I didn't even have to refer to. So it would be absolutely brilliant. If you guys would like a part 2, please put that in the comments below this video. Huge thank you to all the people who've donated so we can film these in podcast studios with Joe and James, cameraman, sound engineer. Huge thank you to all the Patreons. Huge thank you to people who've gone down in the description box and clicked on our other links, supported our socials. And today, particularly, we would like you to go down and click on the link for the Bob Reid Foundation and support Alex's important work.
If you need any help, contact us. Thank you.
All right, brother. Yeah, absolutely fucking amazing, man. Well done.
Oh, what's this, man? Oh, my God. Just relax.
Relax.
Just relax.
Okay.
I feel the tension. Is this gay?
At least I didn't get an erection.
Oh.